Hello, everybody. Ron Callis here with another episode of Automation Unplugged. This is episode 81. Coming to you on a special day. Normally, I come to you live on Wednesdays. And today, I'm coming to you on Monday, July 1st at 2:30 p.m. This is a special event. I have a very special guest. You may or may not have heard of him. If you are a student or a disciple of business leaders and thought leaders, you have likely heard of his name or read some of his books. But I have super excited to have Brad Sugars on to talk with us today and talk about growing a strong, scalable business. And we're, of course, as always, targeting this conversation at our integrators, our technology professionals out there. And Brad is a customer of yours. He has some of these technologies in his homes and properties. And, what's a little bit about Brad? So Brad is the author of 17 books, including this one that I just picked up, which is his newest book, Pulling Profits Out of a Hat. And Brad's going to be talking to us live about this new book. I have not yet had a chance to finish it. By the time of ordering it and receiving it and booking Brad, I didn't, shame on me, I didn't have a chance to finish it, but I did start it and it's pretty fantastic. Brad's also a well-known speaker. He travels around the world. I've actually listened to Brad speak at different engagements on multiple occasions. And of course, I follow him on LinkedIn, on social media, and he's very outspoken as a thought leader, trying to help you folks listening grow strong businesses. So let's go ahead and bring him in. Bear with me here. There we go. Mr. Brad Sugars. How are you, sir?
I'm well, Ron. How about yourself?
Man, I feel like I'm a kid in a candy store right now, getting to talk to you, and I get to talk to you live here with all of our normal friends and peers watching this happen.
Well, I always love the fact that technology has made it so much easier to reach people, and it's done it for every business, mine and yours included. So, wonderful technology today.
I back in 2015. Brad, I decentralized my office. So I used to have a big fancy office in downtown Hollywood, Florida, where Jody Johnson from ActionCOACH used to come and visit me. And technology moved forward, and I got wiser thanks to that coaching. And I looked at cutting expenses, and now my whole team is located around North America and working primarily out of home offices.
So, it is the way of the future for a lot of things. But that being said, there's a lot of benefits to having your team under one roof, working together and collaborating on stuff. So everything has its advantages and disadvantages. It's the old two-sided coin philosophy.
No, that's so true. So what we do is we pull our team together at events. I just had my web team in town last week. I'm going to Colorado in a couple of weeks to bring all my content account managers together. So yeah, maybe that's account or financial savings isn't as big as it appears.
Yeah, look, I know for us, ActionCOACH, we have over 1,000 offices around the world. So we use a lot of technology to keep in communication and ways of doing it. But nothing beats that end of the day at a conference, having a chat at the bar with a couple of the gang and making those decisions together. So everything helps.
Well, Brad, where are you coming to us from? Just for those that are watching and listening.
I'm actually home here in Las Vegas right now. So home for a couple more days and then off for spring break with the kids. I had to stay in Vegas because I became a U.S. citizen on Friday. So I had to go down to the courthouse.
I saw that on LinkedIn, and it said that you gave a speech.
Yeah, look, the judge asked for 2 people out of the 50 that were being naturalized that day to come up and have a speech. And of course, my kids were sitting in the background going, I bet Dad volunteers. And of course, I volunteered. Who's going to miss that? I mean, you get naturalized once in your life. Who's going to miss the chance to give a speech about what it's like to come and join America? So, yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Congratulations. My wife is Brazilian. are from Brazil, and so she was naturalized. And I know how big of an event that is. So congratulations to you and your family.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, Brad, for those, as you know, you and I have spent a bit of time talking. You know, I live and breathe and operate primarily in this world of technology professionals. You know, many would call them integrators, but they're businesses of all shapes and sizes. And you know, we provide marketing services to them. But you, as you wear many different hats. But I'll say, as the world's leading
today, yeah,
as the world's leading business coach enterprise, you serve businesses of all shapes and flavors. In fact, all over the world. So, could you give our audience just a little bit of your background and maybe walk them through your evolution?
Yeah, dang. Look, I've been in business myself since I was 15, so I've always had something that I was doing. You know, I've been looking at employing people since I think I was. Yeah, well, 15, I employed my friends, but not really. I just paid them money to do stuff. They weren't actual employees at that stage. I didn't really know how to do that. But from 19, 20 onwards, we've had real employees. Today, I've owned and operated anywhere. It's over 50 companies. I have to sit down and actually write the list to do it. Today, I run 9 companies. I work 12 hours a week doing that. Tuesdays and Thursdays from 9 till 3 is my work hours. And that's basically what I do. ActionCOACH has grown to be, I mean, we are by far the #1 business coaching company in the world. But now with all of the other businesses that we run, helping entrepreneurs, helping people build great lives, but all the, you know, to my cleaning company, I have a commercial cleaning business. I have a property management company. So, you know, we invest in, I'm basically an entrepreneur. I buy companies that I see, kind of a bit like Ray Kroc, I guess. In the beginning, I used to buy broken companies and fix them. Nowadays, I find a great little business and I expand it and put it all over the country or all over the world. So like the cleaning company, I found that one in Melbourne, Australia, and took that one to England and now bring it to the United States. The property management company, found that one in Houston, Texas. Now it's expanded across the whole of Texas, and now we're at a deal in the middle of a deal that's expanded for 2,200 offices across U.S., Canada. So yeah, that's sort of basically what I do. I'm an entrepreneur, but I'm a father of 5. So, you know, that's why I don't go to work until 9 o'clock and I finish by 3, because the twins, they're only 5 years old. So I got to get them to school each day and pick them up. I prefer to be doing that than going and doing board meetings. But yeah, so ultimately, my goal in business is to build a business that runs so I don't have to. If it works, I don't have to. Therefore, you know, it's a real business. Otherwise, I found that I really wasn't building a business. I was building a job, and I worked for an idiot myself. You know, it was like, how crazy am I thinking I can be the CEO and the owner? See, if you're the CEO and the owner, I find you're doing a bad job at both, because, you know, the CEO lies to the owner and says, oh, I did a lot of hard work today. And the owner believes their stupid lie. You know, that's the sort of thing. But, you know, that's me. That's I guess, the fastest version of the story I can get to.
No, and I'm just putting it out on the public record. I'm that dummy that you just announced, the CEO and owner. So guilty as charged. And I'm at a lot of the businesses that I work with every day at One Firefly. I mean, many of them are owner operators. Many of those owner operators have many jobs and work long, hard hours.
Almost every one of our clients at ActionCOACH starts that way, and that's the thing. You know, I see that entrepreneurs and executives, biz owners, they're some of the hardest working people on the planet. The challenge is they do the wrong hard work in most cases. They're not becoming better business owners or better entrepreneurs. They're becoming better at the actual technique of their job. And whilst the technique of your job is important, what's more important is being a great business owner. As you get better at business, it gets easier. It's not the other way around. Business ain't going to get easier first. You got to get better at it.
No, amen. How in the world do you manage 9 companies and work 12 hours a week? Like that just sounds fascinating. We don't need to go into too much detail, but I mean that you have to say that only to get lots of follow-up questions. Like, how is that possible?
You know, the reality of it is, if you build great people, they build great companies. If you don't build your people, then you end up doing all the work. And so my goal over the years has always been to build great humans. And so with 25 years in business, I've built a lot of great humans over those years. And a lot of those people now run companies for me. You know, they're my CEOs. They run the businesses. They do that stuff. And so other times it's by, you know, buying a business and keeping the great business partners, you know, keeping them as shareholders of the company and having them, they love doing the running of the business. But, you know, the goal of me as a business coach is to teach people, excuse me, is to teach people how to run a business that works without you. And there's a recipe and a format for that. In fact, one of the, I think it was it the third or fourth book I wrote? I wrote a book called The Business Coach. It's got to be 15 years ago now. It's a McGraw-Hill publication. And I wrote that once we'd coached 13,000 business owners to success. I then went back and said, well, what is the systematic methodology for doing that? How do you actually go through? And it's a 6-step methodology, and we teach people through that. And, you know, that's why I wrote the book, because I wanted people to understand. And this is the thing, right? Let's say I'm a technology professional and I've got to install something, right? Guess what? I follow the instructions. I follow the step-by-step to actually do that. Now, if you're a business owner and you don't follow the step-by-step, then hang on a second, go learn the step-by-step. And that's what, you know, now Action Coach coaches about 18,000 business owners a week in the world and hundreds of thousands on our group programs every month. But we show them the steps to build a great business. Hey, that's a good picture. I'm actually dressed up in that.
I'm going to say that's a handsome devil right there.
I actually look like I work in that picture.
Yeah, that looks rather official.
It's funny, though, when you run 9 businesses and people say, oh, you must be so busy. Yeah, I am. I'm really busy. I got to go and play with the kids. You know, but I'm not trying to say that to be pain in the butt to people. I'm saying that I want people to understand, if a kid from Brisbane, Australia can do it, then you can too. You know, it's possible for people to build companies that work without you. Like I had one of my clients. Yeah, this is even harder than most integrators are going to find it. This guy was a doctor, medical doctor, heart surgeon, top heart surgeon in all of Georgia. The board of all of he then has something go wrong, has to have an operation, get 2 stents put in himself. He comes to me and one of my coaches afterwards and said, listen, if this ever happens to me again, I'm out of business. So how do I build a business that's not reliant on me? How do I build an actual organization where it's not me? It's an organization that works whether I can show up or not. And just because you love what you do today doesn't mean you're going to love it in 5 years or 10 years. And just because you love what you do doesn't mean you're always going to be healthy enough to do it. So you got to build something. And that's also comes back to the big point, Ron. What most people miss about business is they miss the one most important factor. You got to build something that's a saleable enterprise. You got to build something that you can sell. Otherwise, you only get paid in cash flow. If you don't build something you can sell, then you end up missing the vast majority of wealth that's created in business. Business wealth is created by creating saleable items. You know, Bill Gates isn't the richest guy on the planet because of the profits of Microsoft or the salaries he collected from the company. It's because of the value of the company. So you want a company to be highly valued. It's got to be a business that works whether you show up or not. Otherwise, you got to sell it to another industry professional. And most of them don't have the cash line around to come and pay you big money to buy your business. So you end up selling it out on a payout term to a management buyout of some sort. So yeah, we want to create assets out of businesses, not just cash flow streams.
We have one of your customers, Esteban, just posted. He said, hello from Cancun, Mexico. He says, I'm an integrator and take advice from an action coach here in Cancun. Greetings, Brad.
Hey, you know, good to see you, Esteban. I was just down in Brazil. And we had a lot of our clients from all of Latin America come on down and teach all about what we're doing lately, and taught them all the stuff from the new book. So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, let's jump into that new book, because I know what's going to happen is we're going to blink and our time here today is going to move on. So I picked it up, and I know that there are 5 pillars, if I'm saying that right.
We use the word disciplines, Ron, mostly in the book, okay, because it's not something you get it right once and then you can walk away from it. It's a discipline. It's something you got to stay on top of every day. Like, if I say business development is one of the 5 disciplines, sales, marketing, customer service sort of fit under that umbrella. What you did in sales 5 years ago doesn't work as well today. What you did in marketing 3 months ago doesn't work as well today. While the core principles of marketing remain the same. And it's funny because a lot of the technology professionals are all like, well, I get all my business from word of mouth. I get it all from referrals. And I'm like,
I've heard that once or twice or 10 times.
Well, that's just because your other marketing is not good. Let's be honest about that. And the funny thing is, see, I'm the ideal customer for your average person on your show, because like the thing is, I'm that guy with the damn big house and more technology you can poke a stick at. I'm the guy with 17 miles of cabling in his house. So yeah, that's me. And people are like, how do you have 17 miles of cabling? Well, you see how big the house is first, and then you worry about that.
Yeah, exactly.
But see, the interesting thing is, yeah, you may find them by word of mouth, but if I can't find you online, or if I can't search for you, if I can't find you in where I'm looking, then I have to resort to word of mouth. And that's the challenge. Word of mouth isn't usually the first source by which someone finds a person. Word of mouth is usually the second or third source if I can't find them elsewhere. So that's where your marketing has to be real strong, and to have a real growth business. And this is interesting, Ron, because with Pulling Profits, I wrote that book. A buddy of mine sat me down at lunch one day and he said, Brad, I gotta ask, it just seems like magic, the way these companies like Yahoo and IKEA and all of these, it just seems like magic how Amazon keeps multiplying and growing and this sort of stuff. And I'm like, buddy, if you think that's magic, then go watch the show. Penn and Teller's got a show on tonight, go watch that. And it's interesting, when I got the book written, Penn did pull it out of a hat for me. It was kind of funny. But, you sit back and you look at it and you think, if you don't know the systematic methodology to have a business that grows year on year, exponential growth, then of course you're not going to do that. So I sat down and said, all right, I'll write the book on that. And 2 years later, I come out with that thing you just held up, which is like 2.5 pounds and 390 something pages. So.
Is it going to come out in paperback, or is it going to stay in hardcover? Because it's a hefty item.
Look, I'm still an old guy from a book perspective. I like a hard copy book. It is on electronic book, and they're currently recording the audiobook version of it. But I like the book that I can make notes in. I like a book I can take notes and ideas, because that's what I did with this book with my co-author Monty, is we made sure that it gave you strategies of not just what to do and why to do it, but exactly how to do it. And so as people go through, they come up with like a dozen ideas each chapter of things to add to it. But if you look at business development today, what we were doing 6 months ago, 12 months ago, isn't working today. Like if you're an integrator and you're not creating content online, if you're not actually out there creating good content, proving that you are an expert in the marketplace, then you're crazy. If you're not, like, average integrator, ask them what their Google ranking is. What's your Google rating? Tell me what your Google rating is for your business. And they look at you like you're an idiot. And that's like, hang on, who's the idiot in this conversation? The person who doesn't know their rating from their existing customer base online, or the guy asking the question? If you don't have testimonials from every single one of your people, if you don't have the before and afters, if you don't have all of this stuff in your blog, on your site, on your LinkedIn, on your Facebook, on your Twitter, if you're not doing all of this stuff and having it posted on Instagram, if your clients aren't posting testimonials about you after you finish the job, that's why you have to resort to only word of mouth. And if you want a business that grows exponentially, you need to be in charge of its growth, in charge of its marketing, not waiting for conversations to come to you. So 3 things for people to do from there. Number 1, ratings. Check every rating site for your industry in your marketplace, or every local ratings. Second, make sure you video every single job. Make sure you got photos. Make sure you got it all out there. It's on every single thing. And make sure you got testimonials from every single client. And forget the sales and the customer service aspect of biz dev. Just focus on that little part of marketing and get yourself out there. But from a content perspective, you got to be seen as the expert. See, a guy like me goes, well, hang on, does this guy know his stuff? And I watch a few videos of you teaching your stuff out there, and boom, all of a sudden, like, oh, this guy does know his stuff, or this gal's a genius when it comes to these things. You know, you're out there trying to sell high performance audio in your retail store. What makes you the expert of high performance audio? Because I'm going to look you up online before I come to your store. I am. It's just going to happen that way. And most of all, I'm probably going to look you up on this thing on my cell phone and do it from there. So mobile friendly, all that stuff. So don't get me started on that subject, Ron, because I can go. I literally can go for days on the marketing subject, because I think that, and that's where you see like a dozen of my 17 books are on marketing and sales. So.
No, and by the way, just a small plug. I've got my stack here of your instant series. I've lived, eaten, and my staff. If they actually read these books, they'll realize a lot of what we do at One Firefly is simply built on principles.
Ron's not that big a genius. It's that Sugars guy.
It's that guy, Brad Sugars. That's the guy. So we want people to buy your new book, Pulling Profits, but I have on the screen these points, which you call disciplines: strategy, business development, people, execution, and mission. Can you give your version or explanation of what that means as it relates to this small business technology professional that I work with every day, and that is within the industry that I reside?
Great. So let's finish off business development, sales side of it. What's the structure for your sales and what does it look like? When I get into most of the smaller businesses, they don't actually have a sales system. They don't have a sales structure. And so you've actually got to go down, break it down. What is step 1, 2, 3, 4? What are the 10 steps to a sales cycle? And if you're a retail store, what's the 10 steps? Like the retailers, what kills me is you walk into a retail store and they'll ask you the question. Now, I know a lot of you guys are doing it by appointment, but if you walk into a retail store and they ask you stupid questions like, hi, can I help you? It's like you just want to punch them in the face when they do stupid things like that. It's like, how are you still in business if you're asking the one question that's guaranteed to get a no every single time? You know, we teach people to ask a simple question. Hi, have you been in our store before? And if they say yes, you say, great, I thought I recognized you. If they say no, fantastic, let me show you around, show you what we got. You know, it opens a conversation. It doesn't get shut down immediately. So, but you got to break your sales down and go through it step by step. Telephone calls, because a lot of you guys and gals get phone calls for their business. First line, every time someone answers the phone, write this down word for word. If you got to rewatch this video, rewatch the video, or buy the books and get it from there. First line, every single time someone calls your business, no matter what they say, how much for this, can you do this, whatever. First line, hey, thanks for your call. Just so I can help you best, is it okay if I ask you a couple of questions? And then you got to script some questions. Now, from there, your customer service. What is your customer service? And again, that's where if you read my book, Instant Repeat Business, it goes through how do we build a raving fan out of a customer? Because what you got to remember is that repeat business equals profit, right? So it's that ongoing service contract. It's that ongoing money that you're going to get is where the profitability of business is. Too many technology professionals see it as a one-off kicker and just in, out, and done. No, that if you run your business based on that, then your business is real tough because you got to keep getting new customers day in and day out. What's the ongoing? How do you manage? Where do you make that money lifetime? Why is it that every gym in the world has gone to a royalty-based or a subscription-based? Why does Microsoft, why does Norton, why does everyone have that as software as a service? Because that's how you make real money in business, repeat business. So that's biz dev. Let's touch on, what do we go to next?
People? Because I would challenge that the economy has been so good for so long, and God willing, it'll be that way in the future. But I'll just speak in the past up till the present. It's been a real challenge for my space to grow because so many of these businesses aren't limited by opportunities for new work. They're limited by the staffing they have and how to grow.
They hire a young guy, they train him up, he leaves and goes work for someone else.
Or starts his own business.
Yeah, or starts in competition with you. So let's understand humans, but let's start with mission because that leads us to the people, okay? So mission is in today's world, the world of business has actually shifted, right? Let's do baby boomer generation. Baby boomer generation, easy to manage. You wanted them to do something, you said, hey, go do that. They did it, right? Today, we're managing a younger generation. And from the millennials through, I call them, see, these are mission-driven humans in most cases. They're not different to the people today. And I heard a guy the other day in his mid-60s complaining about millennials. I'm like, dude, hang on. When were you a teenager? He said, well, I grew up in the 60s. I'm like, yeah, you were the worst generation ever. How can you ever complain about another generation? You just got to manage differently. And so what we look at is the mission of the company. This is where it comes down to, why do people love working for you? Not why do they love a job? Why do they love working for you? Do they love coming to work? And second, do your customers love doing business with you? The mission is greater than just making a profit. If there is nothing greater than just making a profit, you will have trouble getting people, and you will have trouble keeping people, and you'll have trouble with customers wanting to refer you and do business with you over and over and over again. To create disciples in this day and age is what we're looking at. And that's why the mission of the business. Now, if people don't have a better mission, I'll give them the simplest mission you can have. And that's to be the best technology professional in your area. Or if you want to call it something different, a technology professional, then do that. But to be the best in your business category in your area of business. Let's start there if you have no other mission. Now, that leads me to people. And I learned people, Ron, from about 20 years old. I think I went to my dad, and in my business then, which was in the pizza business, and manufactured and wholesaled pizzas through supermarkets. And I said to my dad, you know what, Dad, I don't know what it is, but I just can't get good people. And my dad looked me dead in the eye and he says, son, you get the people you deserve. You're an average manager running an average business. The highest caliber of employee you're going to get is average. And it was like, so you can see where I get my motivational speech from.
That's a nice kick in the pants.
Oh, yeah. Like, you know, I love my dad, but oh my God, do you have to give me the advice so dry and so straight to the, you know, punch me in the face every time I ask for advice? No, but, you know, that's the way he is. So, but he was right. You know, until I learned to be a good manager and a great manager, and then a good leader and a great leader, and start running a great company, great people don't want to work in an average company. It's as simple as that. So you got to start looking at, where do the great people want to work, and what do you need to build the business to be? Because here's the reality of business. You can't build your own business. Your people do. And if you don't build your people, they don't build your business. Now, flip that over and you get the argument of, hang on, every time I train my people, they leave. And yeah, and every time you don't train them, they stay, and they're still bad at their job. So you've got to invest in people, but you got to do the opposite. You got to do the other thing as well. And that is build a place where people want to stay, build a place where people want to work, and where they want to come and they want to be doing that thing. You know, they've got to see growth potential. They've got to see all of those things. Now, how would I do that right now? Well, first of all, we got to remember this. People management starts with recruiting. Recruiting starts with your reputation in the marketplace. So what are you doing to build your reputation in the marketplace? On LinkedIn, how many groups in LinkedIn are you in that are like, there's got to be integrated groups on LinkedIn. I've never looked, but I'm sure there is. If there isn't in your area, start one. You know, be the moderator of that group type thing. On Facebook, on the same thing. So join those groups, start being an industry professional, start writing articles for it, blogs about the industry. Where are the industry growing? Because if you're not seen as that, these young people wanting a job, they will also research you. If you don't know your rating on Glassdoor, how are you going to go out there and recruit good people? And so this is where recruiting starts with your reputation. Now, my whole book, Instant Team Building, actually goes into a structure of recruiting, because what we believe is that recruiting is, thank you, buddy. What we believe is that recruiting should be a deselection process, not a selection process. Now, where does that start? It starts with you understanding, and there's a great book called Why, written by Jeff Smart. And what Jeff wrote about is, before employing someone, you got to be able to write 3 pages. Oh, sorry, who, not why. Thank you very much for correcting me on that. See, every book, you've got them all. No wonder you're the guru of this stuff. So when Jeff wrote that book, he said, you got to be able to write 3 pages before you employ someone. The first page, you have to write down what is their job, and you have to fill the page. If you can't fill the page, you don't know enough to recruit the person. Second page is, tell me about the person. What's their background? What's their training? What skills should they have? What, et cetera. And again, if you don't fill a page, you don't know enough. The third page is, how will you know when they've done a good job? And again, you got to fill a page. How are you going to measure them? How are you going to know what they're doing? How will the business look if that person came and did a phenomenal job helping you build the business? What would change? What would grow? And so once you've got those 3, then you know enough to be able to go and even do an ad to recruit the person. Otherwise, you don't know enough to write an ad. You know, people go and they say, oh, I want a salesperson. What do they write at the top of the thing? Good salesperson needed. And they've never learned anything about sales, so they don't even know what interview questions to ask. It's like someone said the other day, well, I'm not gonna learn marketing. I'm just going to employ someone in marketing. I said, really? That'd be great strategy. But hang on a second. How will you know that they're any good at marketing if you don't learn anything about marketing? So
touche.
So mission and people go together, my friend. How you recruit, then induct, because induction is a very big part of it. That first 90 days, 30 to 90 days of a new employee, if you just throw them straight into doing the work without actually helping them learn about the history of the company, the vision of the company, where you're going, all of those things, of course, they're not going to respect the company if they don't know its history. If they don't see a photo of your first van, the first truck you had out on the road, or your first retail store, or the first sale you made, if they can't see photographs of that stuff, then guess what? They can't respect your business that much if they don't know the history of it.
I agree with everything you just said. I'm happy to say at One Firefly, we have a 90-day onboarding process. So much time. I started my business 11 years ago, so I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure that's probably an idea I got from your book. And we've been.
Well, Coach Jody and Coach Doug.
Coach Jody and Coach Doug for sure. So by the way, there's one of your other team, Sanjay, says hi from India. Says he's an action coach based in India. And I have to say that the principles of running a business shown by Brad works globally. He is a genius. There you go. You got to slip him $20 later.
There you go. Thanks, Sanjay. Sanjay's killing it out there in India, by the way. He's doing amazing things with so many businesses, and the scale of business growth in India is phenomenal. So he's doing great things.
Oh, that is. And then, by the way, I have another one I'm going to throw up on the screen here. Gil says, could you ask Mr. Sugars? Now, this is completely from left field here. He said, but what to look into a business to buy it, and how do you value the business from EBITDA? So I think
I'm going to give you two very quick answers, Gil. Number one, read my book, Billionaire in Training. That's about how to buy, build, and sell companies. And from an EBITDA perspective, yeah, you got to do a bunch of research, but every industry has a different rating for EBITDA. Every business has a different thing. So it's hard to know without an industry, but yeah, go into that for certain.
Awesome. Well, that's, and then, yeah, that's all it for the comment. By the way, if you're out there listening to Brad really preach it and deliver some awesome content, and of course, do not forget to go pick up the book, the actual book, Pulling Profits, and you'll get the detailed version of that. But don't forget to like this live feed. And if you're watching this on replay, don't forget to still like it and comment. Both Brad,
let us know where you're from. I love seeing that we got people from India and stuff like that. That always excites me, seeing how many places we reach around the world, Ron. Type in where you're at, everyone watching.
Yeah, type in where you're coming to us from. And if you feel so compelled, don't forget to share this, that we do put out this content every week because we want to help you. We want to help you grow your business, and we're pulling in really awesome, talented guests such as the one and only Brad Sugars. But share that. Please don't forget to do so. So, Brad, if I were to, I'm mindful of time here, and I have
we still got two to go, don't we? We still got execution.
We're gonna. That's what I was gonna say. I didn't know if you had the time to go through the rest of those points. I'll stay here all day if you're willing to.
Well, let's touch on execution. Execution's pretty easy if you don't have a growth business. If you got a business that's just doing the same thing every day, execution's dead simple, because you got people, they're already trained, they already know what they're doing, and they're going to keep just doing that same thing. If, however, you got a growth-based business, execution really comes down to three main things, and that is management, so managing the people. And management's a dying art. I don't know what happened, but somewhere in the 90s, management became a dirty word, and people are like, well, you don't want to manage, you just want to be a leader. But hang on, management is about two things: competent, productive people. If you got a new person, they're not competent, they're not productive, you do need to micromanage them in that beginning. Until you've built them into a competent, productive person, you're going to have to do that. Second point behind execution is planning. With a lack of planning, there will be a lack of execution. It just is. You know, no one, I would never have a technology professional come in and want to do the technology for my house without an absolute clear plan. And yet they're willing to run their business without an absolute clear plan. You know well, Ron, that we made you plan every 90 days as a business owner. Every 90 days, come up with your next 90-day plan. I want to see what your plan is for the next 90 days. And one day a quarter to plan the 90 days is the smartest thing anyone can do. And the third thing is systems. And the most basic system ever is a checklist. You know, if you can start with base checklists, and people say, actually, I had a guy after an event about a month ago. He says to me, but Brad, you know, my staff, sometimes they do a great job and other times they don't do a great job. I just can't get consistency. I said, oh, we're going to show me the checklist they follow. And he looked at me, he goes, well, they don't have a checklist. I said, well, there you go. You know, if they had a checklist, it's like, why do pilots have a checklist every time? Well, because pilots like to succeed at their job 100% of the time. Because if they don't, we're all dead. So, you know.
Well, and for those that are watching, one of my buddies is a pilot, and I'll go flying with him. He flies corporate jets, and I'll sit in the co-pilot seat. And this guy's been flying for professionally for 25 years. He will go through his checklist, his cards, item by item by item, as he's making sure this plane is doing what he wants it to do. And you'd think he's done this how many hundreds, if not thousands of times, yet he follows the checklist 100% of the time. And to your point, Brad, failure is not an option when you're in a jet. No, you know, you want I'll sit here all day long. Do your checklist. We're good. No rush.
But his lack of arrogance is what makes him successful. See, it's arrogance that makes a salesperson think, oh, I don't need scripts anymore. It's arrogance that makes a doctor think, oh, I don't need to follow a checklist. I can just do this on my own. Hospitals with checklists have much lower mortality rates, much lower infection rates than hospitals without checklists. So we see that time and time again. So yeah, follow the three main points of execution. But then let's go to strategy. See, strategy is where, like I said at the beginning of this, a little bit on strategy at the beginning of this, was the difference between Ray Kroc and the McDonald brothers. The McDonald brothers' strategy was to work every day of their lives making burgers, to sell X number of burgers to X number of people in their one little location, and they had a great time. Ray Kroc's strategy is the opposite of that. You know, his strategy was, how do I have this on every street corner in the country and now every street corner in the world? You know, when you look at strategy, let's take, say, the music business, right? You can be the drummer in a band, okay, plays a gig on a Friday night. You can be the guy that owns the joint they play the gig at on the Friday night. You can be the manager of the band. You can be the production company, or you can be Spotify or iTunes up here type thing. The strategy with which you choose to run your business comes down to four main things. Number one is leverage. My definition of leverage is do the work once, get paid forever. So how do you work one time and get paid long term? Like, you know, why do I build a business once, it runs without me, I get paid forever. I buy real estate because I buy a house once, I get paid rent forever. I write a book because, you know, write the book once, I get paid forever. So this is what we're looking at. How do you get a customer once, it stays with you forever? Second is scalability. So what's the scalability of your business? And scale by definition is the business. So the next sale costs less and is easier. If your business gets harder as you get bigger, then your scale strategy is incorrect. So this is where lately, I keep hearing these words, Ron, lately, and it annoys the heck out of me from all these internet gurus about, you know, you got to hustle and grind. And
I already know where you're coming from. I have a similar annoyance factor with certain individuals, and it's like
hustle and grind is the new stupid. If you have to work 18 hours a day in your business, it's because there's something wrong in your business. And people say to me, but Brad, when you started out, you did that. And I said, yeah, I know. I was stupid. I didn't realize in the beginning, I thought it was a badge of honor as the business owner to be working harder than all my employees. I thought it was like, yeah, beat the chest. I'm the owner. I work the hardest. And then I realized, I forget, someone taught me something. And I just went, hang on. That's the dumbest thing ever. I'm not an owner when I work 18 hours a day. I'm an employee.
And you work for a maniac.
I work for someone who's a slave driver. He won't even pay me the proper rates. I'm not even making. Right. And so I had to sit back and go, hang on. This isn't a problem about work ethic. This is a problem about I haven't learned enough about business to be able to run my business properly, to not have to work 18 hours a day and still make a profit. I get it. Everyone wants to prove that they're a hard worker, but hang on, do the right work and then you don't have to. See, if you look at owners' work versus employees' work, if you're a technology company, right, and you're the one in laying cable, you're the one in putting sound systems in, or you're the one doing that stuff, that's employees' work. It's you work once and get paid once. Owner's work starts with work once, paid long term. So for example, doing business planning, doing systemization, recruiting people, training your people. That's work that you do once and it pays you back long term. Ultimately, you want to get to work that you do it once and it pays you back forever. That's owner's work. So employees work once, paid once. Owners work once, paid forever, or at least long term. Okay, so that's where leverage and scale come in. Its third part is opportunity size. I see a lot of businesses where they say, you know, our goal is to make 10 million. Well, do your market research. Is there even 10 million worth of business in the local area that you trade in? No, there's not. Okay, then how big a business do you need to be? Do you need to be statewide, nationwide? What size do you actually need to be to hit your level of goals? Opportunity size is a big part of strategy. And then finally, marketability. Is it something that you have to work real hard to sell it, or is it something that sells pretty easy? Most of your guys are in high economies have got something that sells pretty easy. They know in low economies it shifts, but that's a different story altogether.
For the sake of time, Brad, talk to my audience about how, if they, I mean, many of them I know are loving what you're dishing out, because you're talking about this promised land of a better, more profitable, more scalable, easier business to run. How do they engage with? What's the answer? Is the answer to get your books and listen and practice it? Is the answer to use a coach? And how do you differentiate, know which way to go?
I think the first answer is rewatch this video. Second answer is subscribe to all of Ron's podcasts. Make sure you got them all coming every day. Third, yeah, you got to get new knowledge. I mean, whether it's my books, someone else's books, you can only grow your business to your level of incompetence. Once you run out of ideas and knowledge, the business can't grow past you. So the negative way of saying that is the fish stinks from the head down. The positive way of saying that is that as you grow as a business owner, so your business grows with you. Okay, so you've got to do that. Maybe it's get a coach. Jump on ActionCOACH.com and go and chat with us. Your first coaching session is always free with us, because we don't. My team around the world literally does 4 hours. So yeah, down that bottom left side, invest in yourself, get a coach.
I'm gonna share that link here on the screen here, just for those that are maybe in a place where that would be better for you. So let me
click it on. Excellent. So, but here's the thing. I think, Ron, it first starts with just thinking about what we've been saying today and saying, okay, because you can go boutique in a business, you can go global in a business, you can build your business, you can do all sorts of things, but you've got to sit down and say, if business isn't growing, it's dying. And that's just the reality of life. A tree isn't growing, it's dying. Everything that isn't growing is dying, whether it's dying because competitors are beating you, or in business, if your sales are steady, your costs are always rising, where are you going to be in 3 to 5 years? You're out. Wage rises are being enforced across the country right now. We're seeing that. And that's just through market forces as well that we're getting wage rises. So I think it's important to understand, as a business person, you got to grow. You got to grow your people. And you got to keep looking at it. But it all comes back to a very basic thing. If you want to grow the business and get clear on that, and then we can teach you how. Learning how is something we've all got to do, though. Same as I got to do it, everyone else got to do it. I got to keep reading too. Jim Rohn once said to me, no one can do your reading for you. And little did Jim know, one day we'd have Audible and someone does all my reading for me now. So, I just sit in the car and get it read to me.
So, Brad, I'm going to just put up on the screen here a couple more people that are saying hello. Hi. Liz is saying hi from Texas.
Welcome, Liz.
And we have Kristen. I don't know where she's coming to us from, but then I have Jamal. He's coming to us from South Africa.
Very nice. Very nice. See, I like it that we spread around the world. We got India, we got South Africa, we got the U.S., we got all across the place. So.
Yeah, we're all over the place. We're all over the place. And, Brad, I'm going to put you on the spot. I'm going to ask you publicly here. I'm going to mail you my copy, and can I get an autographed version or a signed and scripted version from you?
Absolutely. Now, I'll tell you the easy way to do that. Just buy another one, Ron, but ship it direct to my office, and I'll sign it from there and pass it on to you. So,
you know what? I like that. Then I can gift one. There you go.
You can have one for the bookshelf and one to make notes in. See, that's always a good way to do it.
I like that. I
would highly suggest, Ron, seeing as you have such an amazing business, that every member of your team should get a copy, and they should all read it.
That is genius. That is genius. I love it.
I've been a salesman all my entire life. I never miss an opportunity to make a sale. People say, I don't like being a salesperson. Really? You don't believe in your product? It's like a guy said to me the other day, he said, Brad, I just don't want to be a pushy salesperson. I said, oh, really? What's wrong with your service? And he's looking at me like, there's nothing wrong. I said, well, if they don't buy from you, they buy from your competitors. Are your competitors better or worse than you? He said, oh, they're much worse than me. I said, okay, so if they don't buy from you, you're inflicting upon them a negative service. You better sell to them.
You better sell.
Amen. That's always been the way. But listen, come join me on any social media, gang. I'm out there on all of them except Pinterest. I'm not really that crafty. But yeah, Face, LinkedIn, Insta, all of those. Come find me. Twitter. Let's hang out.
Brad, it was an honor to have you on the show, sir.
Damn good to be here, Ron. Thanks for being such a raving fan, and thanks for helping all the businesses that you're out there helping every day, because we business owners need the help, and we need people like you doing it. So thanks for doing that.
Awesome. Thank you, Brad. Be well, sir.
Bye for now.
Bye. There you have it, everybody. I see that Facebook is pixelating me here. I'm not quite sure what's going on there. Might be a bandwidth issue. But I hope you enjoyed this 81st episode of Automation Unplugged, proudly brought to you by One Firefly, my day job. And definitely check us out. Visit us on, let me put some contact information up here. Visit us over at our website. Give us a call if there's anything we can do for you. I will remind you, because we have some new audience members here, that we are now newly active on Instagram. And that is not a platform that we've been active on much. We just kind of ramped things up in September of last year's, and lots of activity going on there. So definitely visit us at Instagram. You'll find us at /One Firefly LLC. And thank you, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us. And Brad, again, you were an awesome guest. We're going to push this out to the world to make sure everyone sees the message. And you rock. By the way, Brad, I've worked with all your assistants, and I think you still hear me. You're down there. You can still hear me, right? I don't have your contact phone number, so I don't know. Message me on LinkedIn, because I want to send you something. But I don't have a way to get in touch with you. So make that happen for me. That'd be awesome. And everyone, I will see you next time. And thanks for watching Automation Unplugged. Be well. Bye.